Hello everyone, Olga today with you. I appreciate that you really love my storytelling about previous Russian prisoner of war, and I appreciate that you really like this format of the video. So today I'm releasing a new video, a new story which was just released today in official channel. I want to remind you that those stories I'm taking from the channel of the journalist who is officially interviewing captured soldiers with their permission. So it's not all captured soldiers, it's just guys who is given permission. I guess the video are coming every day. Every day they are posting video with somebody. The videos are something like 1 hour long. But not all of those guys are really interesting, you know. I try to listen many of them, and many of them is really stupid. They're not able to talk, they're not able to form their sentences, and at all they're not really, their stories is not really something that I would like to retell just because I don't find it interesting even for myself. Today was released new story of newly mobilized guy, and I found this very interesting, so I want to share it with you, and you will get to know it just right like all Ukrainians on the same day. Okay, let's start. Okay, so the guy from today's video, a bit information about him. He is 32 years old, he is from 1990, and he was already one time serving in army in 2008. As I already told in my previous videos, but for new people who don't know, in Russia there are mandatory military service for everybody, plus you can go to serve as per contract. And but if you're not going to service per contract and you don't have the reason to not be in army, like for example university or some other reasons, you will be served in army somehow by force. So that is what happened with this guy. When he turned 18, he go to serve in army for 1 year, and now he's 32. He is working in a fish shop. Also want to say that he is from small city, which is about 20,000 people only. The city is really small. And he's working in a fish shop as the one who is receiving the supply. He is carrying it, distributing it somewhere between, I don't know, shelves or something. And he said all other workers on their shop are women, so girls. So it's all young girls, and he is the only man who is working there. So what is his story, how he ended up as a captured soldier in Ukraine? So on 21st, Russian government announced mobilization, and 21st September. And he said immediately the girls on his work, they start joking and they start talking that what if they will grab you, what do you think, do you still remember how to do anything, can you fit in the this uniform and so on. And they start feeling afraid that maybe they really can grab him, because they already hear that, they already understand that in Russia anybody can be grabbed and sent to front line somehow. But he was thinking, no way, he is already old and it would be not such fast and so on. And next day, so on the 21st September, they announced mobilization. On the 22nd of September at 6:45 a.m., so it's very early morning, he received at his home come the policeman, and the policeman is kind of like the guy who always has some territorial area where he's always responsible for this. So we have such kind of things in Ukraine and in Russia at least. I'm not sure in other countries. So there is a guy who's responsible for a small area. So this guy came to him with 2 guys from military department, and they bring him this kind of invitation paper at 7 a.m. So it's 6:45, and it states that at 7 a.m. you must come already to this military point where just bring your some kind of military paper. In Ukraine and in Russia, everybody who was served or wasn't served in army, they all have some paper from the military department. It's always, everybody have it, regardless if you serve or not. So because everybody is counted in military in our countries. So they told him, take this paper, and if you were serving in army before, in this paper it would be written what was your profession, what's your specialization in military, and some, I don't know, maybe some additional information. He said, I have to go to work at 8 a.m. So it's it's not fitting in my plans. And they said, no, that's just to check some details. So yeah, just bring this paper and you will be free fast. So he said he came, and I want to remind that the city is really small, it's 20,000 people. And he said there was already something like 50 guys on this place, all kind of ages. He said from 20 to something like 45 years old, different, like sick, small, big, whatever, all kind of guys. And they was waiting for a long time. It was something like, I guess, 1 hour pass, and some kind of commanders or some of the officers, they said, okay, they give them some form, some application, which they need to fill, and they need to write also what was their profession in army, what's their military title, some kind of other information. And he said there was no question even about health conditions at all. What's your health? Because it's always very important, even if you want to go and serve in army. Nowadays, not during the war, but in general, if you want to go and serve in army, they will always send you for military for this kind of health inspection. And if you have any kind of problem, they will not even allow you to go and serve. And we have some people who used to pay even some bribes to doctors just to let them serve, because as per their some kind of health condition, they cannot. So there was such things as well. So they all aware that there for sure must be some kind of health check, and they start asking why there is no question about that. And they said, no, this would be later. This is not today. Today we just need to write the numbers of this military paper, just your profession, and we will just submit these papers. Okay, so they write all these things, and he said something like 2 hours pass, and they already said, okay, here is the buses, now all load the buses and we will go. And he said for sure most of the guys was shocked, because first he didn't take any stuff with him at all. So he just grabbed his passport, he take this passport, I mean like internal ID, we have this document is what he meant. He take his ID, he take this military paper and phone, nothing at all, anything else. And he said some guys was gonna have wedding in couple of days. Some people, they was already at work, they bring them directly from work. So nobody has any personal belongings at all. And he said that there was even some shops, something like 100 meters away from this military point, because this is usually some place in the middle of the city. And even they said, no, don't go buy anything at all. We will bring you now to some place. You will receive everything. You can guess that for sure they didn't get anything at all, but they load them on the buses. And it was on the 22nd of September. And also he said there was already relatives of these other guys coming and asking what's going on, like parents and so on. Where you are taking these guys? It's out of our plans. And they said, no, don't worry. They will be all in Russia. They will be just, you will go to this region. They appoint some border region named with Ukraine. And they will just stay in this region. So you don't need to worry about anything. So he said they loaded them on the buses, and they drive them for a long time during the whole day, and they come something like at 11 p.m. So at 6:45 a.m. they come grab him actually to this military place, and at 11 p.m. he was already in border area next to Ukraine. And in this place they bring them to some military base to start giving them uniform. He said they was waiting for a long time. For sure, the whole process was very not organized. And after something like 3 hours waiting, he reached to the place where they are giving them this uniform. And for him, they didn't have belt at all. He said all belts finished, so they didn't give him belt. And what I understand that without belt, these pants are really not, I'm not really sure. Maybe you can tell me in the comments, because I understand that it's hard to be without belt. And they didn't give him shoes because there was no shoes of his size. So he said he was remaining in his summer training shoes, which he came from home. And they said, what, we cannot do anything, we don't have shoes for you, and if you have any questions, go ask some commanders or anybody else. We are not responsible, we don't have in our warehouse any shoes of your size. Also, his uniform was a bit bigger, like 2 sizes bigger or something. It was 2 sizes bigger plus no belt. But he said later then transport them to another military base, and next to this military base there was a shop where he buy belt by his money, didn't give them for free. So yeah, that was basically all. Somehow they was bringing them from one place to another place. Also, they was driving them to different military bases. In the last base, as I understand, before they start already going to front line, this guy, his specialization was to be in the tank, the one who is deciding where to shoot. I'm sorry from the beginning that I'm totally not military person. This is first, and second, I don't know so many terms, but I guess, guys, you will understand me. So in tank, there are 3 guys usually. One is driver, one is commander, and one is the one who is somehow correcting the fire, or who is the one who decide what to do with the fire, what I understand. So that was his specialization. And so once they reach to one of the last military base, they bring this mobilized guys, so they divide them by 3 somehow. So, and they bring them to the tank, just to show them how the tank looks from inside. Okay, this is tank, this is where you need to sit, this is how you need to shoot. They didn't shoot, they didn't do anything, they just showed them how the tank looks from inside. And he said that he's very normal guy, so he's not fat, not slim, he's very, very normal. And he said he was feeling himself very tight on this tank. But he said there was other mobilized guys, especially the one who was 45 years old and older. He said they barely at all fit on this tank because they was big and it was super tight for them. Anyway, so they show them, they make them some kind of training for 2 hours. They show them how it looks tank, what you need to do with it. Then, on the same time, they load them in the cars, these military vehicles, which is just carrying people in bulk. This kind of, plus there was some tanks, which I guess they was just, so they wasn't driving by themselves, they load them on something. And as one column, they start going to Ukraine. Nobody was telling where they're going, nobody was talking with them, nobody was explaining what's going on at all. I guess just in some, he didn't tell about this in interview, but I guess in some moment, or maybe on the moment of arrival, he understood that he reached to Ukraine. I'm not really sure. Yeah, they loaded on these cars and they bring them somehow to Ukraine, to almost to the front line. Then once they reach almost to front line, they said, okay, go out of these cars, go inside of the tank and drive. He said maybe the drivers know where to drive, because somehow they go 4 tanks, then one turn to somewhere, another turn to somewhere, another, and they was the last tank, which also reached to some point and stopped. He said he don't know, maybe the driver had direction or they explained him somehow based on the signs where you need to stop, because he said he, by himself, he didn't have any idea where they need to go and what they need to do. So he got mobilized on 22nd of September and he arrived to the front line on 26th September. He said 3 days they were staying there doing nothing, as I understand. They didn't do anything at all. They was just told them that you need to put branches on the tank so you can hide it, you can dig this kind of things where you can hide if there is a shelling. And there was some shelling, but or somehow far. So as per his talk, I understand he didn't do anything at all on this from 26 to 30 September. On 30 September, he said finally comes some officer who is some kind of commander of this area. And he start checking, okay, so what they have in this tank, which kind of weapon they bring with this tank, does this tank is working well, and once he just start checking that, so the guy was outside of tank at all, Ukrainian army starts shelling them so much, and they shell actually the tank, and he said out of the first explosion he totally stopped hearing anything. Then he said somehow so somebody was talking to him something, he didn't hear anything at all. Then they start showing him by sign, go inside of the tank or go inside of BMP. I'm not really sure about that, but or maybe he go inside of another tank or something like that. So actually he hide. Then he said this commander is the one who was on that time. He tried to even shoot one time from the tank, and he said tank become full of all kind of smoke. Then again they was talking something, he didn't hear anything. Then he get out of tank. And he said he understand that he at all lose his conscience, he don't remember what was happening, and somehow at the end they bring him, or I guess once the shelling somehow finished or become more quiet, they bring him to one place which I understand as per translation it's called dugout. So it's some kind of I will show a picture if I'm translated right. So that's the place where kind of room underground, what I understand. So he was sitting on this dugout for the whole day till evening. Another interesting thing I forgot to tell you, he said that every tank, it has 3 people. So in his tank, there was one driver who maybe somehow know how to drive. He didn't really comment about him a lot. Then was this guy who actually never shoot from tank. But he was in army serving, and it was his specialization somehow. And the commander of the tank, the main guy in tank, he said he was at all 23 years old guy who was at all from military police. He never been in anything like tank, so he has no idea. That was his first time, and they put him as a commander. He said he had no idea at all what he need to do, and he was just sitting quiet and watching everything. So he go to this dugout. He was sitting there all the day. He said he was for sure feeling very bad, and somehow by end of the day he opened his eyes. He started somehow hearing. He started understanding what's going on. And there was a couple of other guys who was injured, and they was also inside. And they remained there till night, and at night all shelling stopped. There is no shelling at night. There was some officers with them in this dugout, and they said that we need to left this place, so we will be going out. There will be something like, it was something like 3 officers, then there was something like 5 injured guys, and he didn't hear somehow, so his head was like this, but there was some guys who wasn't able to walk, so they need to carry them. One guy was totally burned and something like that. And then, so they decided, okay, we will be leaving this place by walking, as I understand. There will be officers going in the front. Then the guys need to go exactly behind them, the one who is injured. And somebody who is also not injured, he must be at the end of their kind of column. And he said it's super dark. And I guess they're somewhere on the field or whatever, on the village maybe. They don't see anything at all. They don't know where to go. And he said they was walking a bit slower because they was carrying the injured guys. And he said they go something like maybe 30 meters, and these officers disappeared. So he said we was calling them, we was by any means, because they had no connection at all. They just, no weapon, no connection, totally nothing. And he said, yeah, these guys just disappeared and we didn't know what to do. And the best thing, they decided, okay, let us just return back, because he said we don't see anything. It's very dark. Let us just return back and sit at night in this place. in this dugout, and since it will become morning, we can at least start to think about something and go somewhere. At least we will see the way. And they back to this place. So most of the guys who back, they was exactly injured. And I guess he said 1 or 2 guys was somehow normal, so they didn't have any problems. And he said just once the light come out a bit, they hear the voices, and the one who came to their dugout, it was Ukrainian military forces. They said, left, you need to leave the weapon, go submit. And he said we didn't even have the weapon to leave it. And then they take them, and this is the story how he became a captured soldier. So another interesting detail, which actually that would be the end of the story, but this journalist, because you know this talks, he's not just telling his story. The journalist asking him a lot of questions to understand how the propaganda works, what they tell them, what's the relation of this guy to many things, how he can comment many facts. I'm not telling you this because it doesn't really so important. I'm focusing on his story. But in one of these kind of questions which he was asking, which journalist was asking this guy, was how was your friends and your parents in general talking about war in Ukraine. And he was saying that all his friends didn't support it. They was considering that this is very bad. It will make things in Russia just worse. And he said his parents, they also, once they are watching news, they feel so much sad that people are dying and nobody needs this all. And it's all like innocent people suffering for nothing. And always, once they talk with these guys, once they record talk with them, they also call with video. Before they call just on voice. Now recently I see they always call with video call to their parents or to somebody that they give their number. And they called the mom of this guy. I'm not sure if he's married. He didn't say anything about that. Maybe he's not. So they called to his mom, and she replied very angry even, you know. And this journalist is saying, hi, your son is captured soldiers, he's here with us. And she starts saying, it cannot be, I was just talking with him yesterday. If you want to say that he's captured, tell me the code word, which I need to know, otherwise you are all fascist in Ukraine and all your country is stupid, and she starts saying a lot of very bad words about Ukrainians. He tell him very bad word, I will not repeat, but something like go to hell, all you and all your fascist Ukraine, I don't want to talk with you, and done. And she disconnected. They even didn't have time to turn the camera and to show her son. Then he said, no, but maybe you can send her my picture so they will believe that I'm here. And they show for the camera that they record some part of his talk right now while he's talking. And they sent to her in WhatsApp his video. And then they just said to him in the video that, because they was talking with someone's number, they said that they replied that they don't want to talk with you. She don't want to talk with you and she don't need it. So that was very weird. Why she don't want to talk with him, or she don't want to talk on camera. I don't know, but you know, while he was saying that they watch news and they feel very bad, and she was very aggressive. I understand there is a lot of such kind of scam in Ukraine, always, hi, your son is in police and you know, just you need to pay some money so we will not put him in jail or something. I'm sure there are some kind of, it's about normal things, not about military. So I'm sure maybe there is a lot of scam regarding somebody's captured soldier or something, but she was so much aggressive exactly regarding that we are fascist in Ukraine and Ukraine is a very stupid country, that I would not really believe that she watching news and she's feeling very bad for Ukrainians and that innocent people are dying. So guys, that was the story from today. Thanks for watching it. Waiting for your comments. What do you think about the story? What you can comment about that? And subscribe for sure if you want to have more stories in future. Bye bye.